They're getting doged. That's what's happening here. I don't think anybody should be surprised. The Trump administration is methodically going after different departments to see where they can save money.
Thanks for watching The Big Deal. This week, dozens of NASA employees signed a formal letter of dissent urging members of Congress to resist the Trump administration's proposed cuts to the space agency. The White House is asking Congress to slash NASA's budget by almost 25%, which would result in the termination of many science missions. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, Ohio, there was a protest held this week against potential staffing cuts to NASA that are based in that state. It took place on the 56th anniversary of when Neil Armstrong, an Ohio native, made history as the first human to set foot on the moon. Joining me now with more on all of this is Ybeth Bruzel, a political anchor for Spectrum News 13 in Orlando, Florida. Great to see you, Ybeth. And that letter of dissent, which was addressed to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, the interim administrator of NASA, says, and I'm quoting here, "We are compelled to speak up when our leadership prioritizes political momentum over human safety, scientific advancement, and efficient use of public resources." Do we know why the Trump administration is targeting NASA for cuts?
They're getting doged. That's what's happening here. I don't think anybody should be surprised. The Trump administration is methodically going after different departments to see where they can save money. And I got to say, for this segment, the common denominator, since we're talking about dollars and cents, is that it's about saving money, saving money, saving money, because the Trump administration keeps saying over and over that so many departments are bloated, right? Over bloated with so much staff. Bottom line here, businesses, companies exist to make money. That is the deal, to generate profits. That's the name of the game. So having regulations that hamper them from doing that to their fullest potential, that's always been a political target, no matter the administration, but especially with this one. There's also the issue, right, that Dems keep bringing up about climate change. They say it is real. Republicans say, hang on a second. And we keep seeing things like flooding in Orlando. I have lived here for dozens of years. I've never seen flooding like we've seen recently in downtown Orlando. New York City, I keep seeing the flooding of the subways, all that water coming down like huge cascades. We see Texas and some of the other places. So while this back and forth keeps happening about climate change, jobs are on the line and the back and forth continues.
Well, let me put up a graphic of some of the missions that would be canceled if the NASA budget cuts go through. We may not need to collect rock samples from Mars. That's one of the missions that's being targeted. But climate monitoring satellites would also be cut back. And that sounds like a kind of an urgent necessity. You sort of alluded to a lot of that. Is anybody in Congress pushing back against these cuts?
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people also pushing back. It's about jobs. I mean, and we see this across the landscape. It doesn't matter what the industry is. A lot of companies are recalibrating and trying to see how do we save money. So jobs are on the line. And so a lot of folks who are dealing with their constituents, calling them, emailing, having protests saying, you know what, we're not for these cuts, no matter what people think in Washington, D.C., because these are people's livelihoods that are on the line.
And there's the size of the agency. There's also its location. Where you are reporting from in Florida is home to NASA's Kennedy Space Center. Recently, Republicans from Florida have been pushing for NASA to relocate its headquarters, move it from Washington, D.C. down there to Florida. What is their argument, and how likely is that to happen?
I think the argument is still there. I spoke with Congressman Herodopoulos just a little while ago tonight, and he tells me that, look, this is still an active situation. I have a letter right here, a little show and tell for your segment, that I published with Senator Rick Scott, Senator Ashley Moody, and so many other of the Florida delegations saying we want this thing in Florida. And yes, it can be done. I was talking with Greg Perlone, our space reporter for Spectrum News. He says, Ybeth, they want to make sure that the Kennedy Space Center continues to be the hub for NASA and others. SpaceX, we cannot forget about that, and Elon Musk, Blue Origin and others, to build these components that we need for rocket launches. We have 2, sometimes 3, 4 a week happening on our Space Coast in Florida. And so instead of bringing in parts, they continue to build the components in the state of Florida. And that is one of the key arguments they want. They keep saying, we want NASA headquarters to be moved here because we want this to continue to be one-stop shop for all the rocket building, for the rocket launches to continue. And that's a lot of money on the line, Errol.
All right. Thank you very much, Ybeth Bruzel, on top of that story. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.